Hello everyone, this is Professor Valdez Gant. I am your instructor for this Math 1314 College Algebra Online course at Tarrant County College. I'm recording this video here as sort of a short orientation to kind of get you acclimated with the course, how it's going to run, the expectations, what you could expect from me, and what I am going to be expecting from you as well. Right now I have you in a developmental course shell for the actual course that we're in. This video is being recorded as of fall 2017, but this particular video will also apply to subsequent semesters. Some things that I do want to say, the actual book may change, but of course the way that this course is going to be delivered will pretty much be the same here. So saying that, so for this very first announcement, you may see that the book here is a book in the 8th edition, 9th edition, 10th edition, whatever. But of course, the way that this is going to go is pretty much the same. Also, the course ID may be different. So when you're looking at this on your particular course in the semester that you take this course, of course, it may be different than what you see here. So as I go through this, some of the things that may depend upon semester to semester, I'll do my best to point out. So what I wanted to start off by doing is just going through the announcements. Anytime you take a course, you should go through the announcements because some of the highlights of what we want to be able to get across to you as instructors are in there. Of course, the very first announcement just welcomes you to the course. Let you know what the course ID would be, and of course here it's going to be different for whatever semester that you're in, but this is where you would find that initial course ID. Here I do allow the use of calculators, but calculators such as a TI 89 or TI 92 or TI Inspire with a computer algebra system type of operation on it, CAS for short. Those things are not allowed. Okay. Of course, if you have not received my emails, then you may want to check your spam folder to make sure that if I'm in there, I'm out of there. Another thing here is the discussion board requirements. I know this becomes a point of confusion for some students, kind of the way that I have it set up. But after you kind of read through everything, you'll see that it's relatively easy to do, and you have several options. So in short, I do have to grade you on discussion board participation. This is part of the active learning portion of this course. And so the way that I do it is that I allow you to do at least one of 3 things. Okay, and so I base these things upon what I think the discussion board should be about and the kind of activity that should be going on there anyway. Okay, so in short, I want to just stick to these dates here. And of course, the dates will depend upon what semester you're in. The amount of points will also depend upon what semester you're in as well. Okay, so the main thing here is just to look at these dates and just know that roughly about a month or so apart from whenever things are due, and again, this depends upon the pace of the class. If the pace of the class is only 4 weeks or 6 weeks, then of course these dates are going to be a little close together. But the main thing here is that in order to get full credit on the discussion board area, I need you to do at least one of the following things I have listed below. So the very first thing, if you're a student that likes to bounce questions off of other students, then this first option is for you. And so I want you to post at least 2 distinct questions. These are homework and or let's say practice test problems or concept vocabulary problems that you've had, and you want to respond to at least 2 of your classmates with solutions to different questions as well. So to kind of lay a scenario here, let's say you've done homework on section 3.2, and let's say out of that homework assignment you've had 2 questions, questions 7 and 8, that you had issues on. You didn't know how to solve it. Whenever you tried, you couldn't get the right answer. So what you would do is you would post a separate post for question number 7, section 3.2. You would take a screenshot of the question or type it and say, hey, can anyone help me with this particular problem? I was working on it and I got up to this point, or I got this answer, but the system keeps telling me I'm wrong, don't understand. Any help would be appreciated. Something like that. You can do the same thing for question number 8 in a separate post. Okay. Once that's done, then of course, hopefully someone will respond to you. If no one does, and of course, eventually I will respond to you with your answers. But in addition to that, in addition to posting questions, what I would also want you to do is to post some feedback to those people who are also asking questions as well. So to use number 1 here to be able to get full credit, you have to post 2 questions on your own that you're like, hey, I need help on, and you need to respond to at least 2 people on 2 separate questions as well. Okay, as far as how to help them get to their solutions or help them understand the concepts. So that's one way. Another way that you can get it, which I think is the easiest way, is you should be writing down your homework in sort of a ledger or a notebook anyway. So if you do that, then of course you could just highlight 2 of those problems, and I would do something as simple as just take a picture on your phone of the 2 homework problems that you want to showcase. I would use an app like Cam Scanner to be able to take that picture, form it into a PDF file, and upload it into Blackboard in the discussion board area, and just say, hey, these are 2 problems I was working on from this week. State the section number that you got it from, the question number, and you can say, hope this helps someone. If you have any questions, let me know. And so the third option is for those of you that like to make short videos, since you have to do a little extra to get the video uploaded and processing time. So instead of you having 2 problems, if you can record yourself doing a video of just 1 problem, and then upload that video, or at least the link to where that video is housed, if you can post that in the discussion board area, that would suffice. Okay. And of course, we need to have no duplications. If someone has already posted a problem, please do not replicate that problem. Okay. We're trying to get as many different problems on the discussion board area as possible, so that we can have a large variety so that people can learn. All right, so also this is where you will find your schedule as far as when your midterm and final exams are in the announcement area. Okay, so normally at the beginning of the semester I'll have something to the effect of updates coming soon, and that's because I normally don't get the schedule for testing, as far as for those of you that may for some reason have to do something other than taking it at home. I don't get that schedule until after the semester begins or the session begins. Okay, the expectation is that each and every student will take the exam online at home using the ProctorU third-party vendor services. And of course, what that is that you have a lockdown browser as well as webcam monitoring or camera monitoring. Okay, so that is the expectation. That is what is required. If you are being provided ADA accommodations for whatever reason, and part of those accommodations include being in a testing center on campus, then I can provide that accommodation for you. But that will be the only instance in which you will need to be able to take exams on campus. It is expected that wherever you're working, whatever computer you're working on has the capability of being able to support a webcam, as well as being able to support the basic functions for Blackboard, MyMathLab, and the ProctorU software. Okay. Here's directions on how to go about trying to purchase a textbook. And really all you need for this is just the access code. You do not need a physical textbook for this course at all. Okay, so the thing is that you have an electronic version of the textbook, so there's no need to get a physical. So again, if you just follow the instructions or click on this link here, it'll take you exactly where you need to go, and you just need to look for the standalone access code. This announcement here will let you know what your course ID is and information on how to register into MyMathLab once you gain your access code, or if you're trying to do the 14-day grace period. Okay. There is no reason why anyone cannot get started in this course, because you do have at least a 14-day grace period if you do the initial registration and you choose to pay later option. Okay, and so that's there so that we know some of you are waiting on financial aid, but you still have a way to go ahead and get started in the course. Okay, it's also important for certification as well, because one of the things I need to see is that you're actually up and running in MyMathLab to be able to certify you in our current course as per federal government requirements. If you have any issues with your internet browser, of course you can go to any of these links. Hopefully they will be able to help you out. Okay. And of course, this is just information about testing center information if you have to take your test there. Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to do is go to the instructor contact info. And this is a picture of myself as well as my email and phone number. And so the main thing I want to address here is that if for some reason if you're emailing me and you're not getting responses from me, just know that, hey, you need to either call me or text me, because I'm usually not the type to not respond. So if it's been more than, let's say, 2 days and I haven't responded to you, then that means that there's something I'm not getting, something's wrong. Okay, so please make sure to call or text me. It may be sometimes that I know that we have 2 emails as faculty members that we try to feed one into the other, but sometimes that link gets broken. So that may be an issue there. Okay, so just make sure that, hey, if all above else, just call. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the Start Here folder. So in this folder, the main thing I want to address here, other than this video here, which is the one that you're actually watching right now, is to make sure that you fill out the student profile survey. And so this is part of what I need for you to be doing in order to certify you in the course. Of course, for this particular semester, certification date is September the 12th. For your semester, it may be different. Okay, but just make sure that you get this profile survey done. I do read those, and I try to do what I can to, depending upon what comments you make in it, try to accommodate you if necessary. If I see something that's special that we need to talk about offline. So the course overview, I'm kind of taking you through this now. We basically have our Blackboard course, which is a myTCC, and we have a myMathLab. Okay, and so we know that these 2 courses, or these 2 learning management systems, I should say, is how we're managing everything in this particular course. All right, so now what we're going to do is go and check out the syllabus and our course calendar. So let's go ahead and go to the ICR/syllabus and calendar area. And so this is where you will find our district syllabus. Of course, this is where you'll find the actual syllabus for this course. We call them here Instructor Course Requirements, which is the ICR. In addition to that, you'll have your course calendar here as well. So I'm going to pull up the course calendar here for a second. just to do some clarification. Of course, your semester may be different, but how this is going to work is the date that you see here is the beginning of the week that particular week is on. Okay. As far as dates, there are no due dates for homework, and part of the reason for that is because I want you to be able to work and rework the homework over and over again. Okay. There is a due date for each quiz as far as when you should have initially attempted that quiz. You can do the quizzes over and over again, but the purpose of the quizzes is twofold. One, of course, is to quiz you and grade you on that. Another one serves as a means of attendance. So when I say here, submit quiz 1 artifacts to Blackboard and see the announcements for details, what I'm referring to there is that I need you to have gotten to that point on your homework so that you can take quiz 1 and submit that work so that I can count you as participating in the course up to that point. Again, if you, let's say, take the quiz the first time and let's say you make a 50 on it, okay, that's not good as far as the quiz grade is concerned. Of course, you can do that again. But that is great when it comes to attendance-wise, because at least I have a record that you've tried to work up into the point where you're at quiz 1 in the course. And so whenever I go check attendance, that's what I'm checking for. I'm checking to see, have you done at least one attempt on the quiz as of the dates I prescribe. And so I'm going to go back to where those dates are listed so that you can know what to look for. All right, so if we go over here and we click on your instructor course requirements, or your ICR, you'll see that you have this document here. And where it states attendance, this is where I have those dates. Okay, and so as of right now, these dates, this is a course for fall 2017. The dates that you may see in Blackboard may be different depending on the semester. Okay, and in the rare case of I haven't updated those dates for the current semester, you still need to go by the dates in the ICR and just let me know that those dates that are currently in Blackboard aren't the dates they're supposed to be in, and I'll go change it. In trying to build courses, sometimes you just forget to do those things. So, but the dates that I need you to have submitted at least one attempt of the quiz for each particular unit inside of MyMathLab has to be done by these dates here. And of course, depending upon your ICR, those dates will be according. Okay. And so here's how I'm checking attendance. So every time I check after these particular dates here, I'm just checking to see, have you done the quiz? Now, if I find that you are present, or you've done all the quizzes at least 8 times, and of course you get the 100 points. If it's one time you miss, that's 2 points. If it's 2 times you miss, then of course that's going to be 60 points. And so the thing that you need to realize here is that at Tarrant County Community College District, if you miss more than twice, of course that's going to be more than, well, let's say if you miss twice or more, I need to put it that way, that's going to get you in a situation where you've missed more than 15% of the course, and you'll be automatically dropped at that point. Okay, so really you only have one time not to meet the mark on these quiz dates here. Okay, and I just want to make sure that you know that and you understand up front what is expected. Okay, so that is as far as how you're graded via attendance and how the quizzes in MyMathLab are tied to that. All right, so of course the materials and requirements just goes over some of the basics on what is required for this course. Pretty much same information that was given in the announcement area, but if you want to make sure that your computer meets these requirements, click on this link. For the information about MyMathLab and how to register, here I have a link that goes directly to MyMathLab. And of course, again, this is the registration information about how to do it if you're just trying to get the access code online and not necessarily through the bookstore. Okay. This netiquette folder here is just a reminder of how to properly conduct yourselves whenever you're in a discussion board, and this is the discussion board area here. If you click on the discussion board area, this is what it looks like. So you have your initial discussion board post that comes in two parts. I need you to do this one, but if you also want to participate in the second one, that's fine. You can choose to participate in either one of the two. So let's say if you did not want to say a lot about yourself, but if you wanted to at least come in and respond to the actual discussion questions that I have, then that will count as well. Okay, I just need to see at least one of the two done here. Of course, after that, you see units 1 through 5, and these are the places where those three things that I discussed as far as what you can do to be able to earn full credit. And I'll go back to the ICR to make sure that you remember that. So here in the ICR, under discussion board criteria, of course, these are the corresponding dates and points that go along with that. Same sort of thing as mentioned in myTCC, okay, in the announcement area. All right, so if you click on my grades, then that lets you know what your current grades are. I'm not going to click on that because since I'm an instructor, it doesn't work for me. And here where it says graph paper and formulas, I have this here just in case. Let's say you are working on a test at home or working on homework at home, and you want to know what particular formulas you're going to have exposure to for exams. This formula sheet is it. If you also want some graphing paper, you also have that with a couple of grids or a couple of Cartesian planes with grids on it. Okay, so all that's available to you. Now, one of the things that you may have read in the ICR is about artifacts or this written work. So artifacts is just a fancy way of saying written work in this course. And so here's the link to be able to upload quiz and exam written work or quiz and exam artifacts. And so let me let you know about the policy on this. Okay, so if you choose not to upload any written work for your quizzes or midterm exams, that is fine. However, the caveat to that is that whatever grade you have in my math lab at the time is what it is. I do not go back and look through your work to see, hey, did you type in something wrong? Did you put a decimal where you should have put a comma? Did you forget to round correctly? Those things. I'm not going to do that if you do not submit any work. If you do submit written work, then when I go through my round of grading, I actually go through what you've done to see for the things that you got wrong, why did you get them wrong? And the reason I'm looking at that is because now, if that you've uploaded work, I have something to compare it to. And if I can see that, hey, you actually got the answer right on your paper that you submitted, but of course you typed it in wrong, I can give you credit for that. And that's the purpose of submitting in the quiz and exam artifacts. Okay. And as you can see, all these are assignments where you can just go in and click and upload. So let's say if we go to quiz 1, of course, this date is incorrect, but according to whatever semester you're in, that will suffice. And then of course, all you have to do here is come in, browse my computer, whatever you saved it on, upload it, and then just hit submit, and that's pretty much it as far as that's concerned. All right, so other than that, these are the folders for units 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and midterm and final exam info. Just going to go into unit 1 here really fast. So if you notice here, I have a link here to, well, a folder to a link of lecture note videos. And so I know students have had pretty good success when looking at these. These are all videos that have been recorded by me on topics in this course. And so I would highly suggest that you take a look at them, because they may give you some insight on how to work problems that, if you're an example or help me solve this in my math lab, doesn't necessarily do as well of a job on. Okay? It also gives you my personal insight on how to do those type problems. Now, of course, you also have a link to my math lab. So if you don't want to remember what the actual URL to my math lab is, you can just log into myTCC, click on Unit 1, go to this particular link, and it'll take you there. For the discussion board, it's also there. Of course, we've already went over what you need to be able to do to be able to get full credit for that. And then, of course, for Unit 1, Quiz 1 and Quiz 2 is due during that time that you're working in Unit 1. So links to where you would upload your work is there. And, of course, each of these units here kind of does the same thing. It's got notes that are available from me, a link to discussion board, and quiz and or exam artifacts. So now let's go into midterm exam info. Okay. So normally what I like to do is, whenever I have a midterm and final exam, I like to do a version of that final exam and have it worked out for you. You'll see that closer to the time whenever your midterm is due, if it's not already there. If you notice here for the midterm exam dates of availability, at the beginning of the semester, again, I keep that blank because I am not sure for the people who have ADA accommodations what days they actually have available for the testing center. And so, depending upon what campus, so I can't really make the schedule because I want, whenever the ADA people have flexibility to go to the testing centers, I'm trying to line that up with the people who are taking it online so that everyone is pretty much done around the same time. Okay. So that's the reason for waiting on those dates. Usually by like week 4, I should have those dates, if not soon. Okay. You will need to be able to use ProctorU, and so this is a PDF file on how to get that going on your computer. All right, and so if for some reason, if you have to go to the testing center, then of course this is what you'll need on exam day when you go there. Okay. For those of you that plan on taking your exams at home, you will have a time limit of 300 minutes, which is 5 hours. And everything that I have listed there is what you are allowed to have. Probably need no more than 1 bathroom break. So if you're like me and drink a lot of water, you may want to taper off that as you get ready to prepare for an exam. Okay. Let's go ahead, and for the final exam, it's going to be the same sort of thing. All the information will pretty much be the same. Of course, I haven't changed the dates in here yet because, of course, it's just not time. But once I get those worked out solutions, of course, you will see them. Okay. And of course, this has old material here because I'm just using this. But it's going to pretty much look the same. And instead of saying Math 13-16, it'll say Math 13-14. Okay. All right. With that being said, your tools that are available to you here, of course, you have all these things. Most of this stuff you won't have to go into. You may want to check out tutor.com if you need some extra help. If I'm not available, or if your fellow students can't help you and the book's not helping. And the other real useful thing would be send email and the ProctorU online tool. Okay. So with that being said, the only other thing that I want to do here is actually go into my math lab to give, I guess, my opinion on how you should use this particular product. So I'm going to go into there now and kind of share with you what I think is some best practices, and then that'll conclude this video. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the My Math Lab link here, and just go ahead and click on the site here, and then just going to go ahead and log in. So my login information will be a little different, but once I log in, you should see the following. So once you get logged in, you should see a link to the course that you're in. Right now, I'm using the course Math 1314, section 86065. And the main thing I want to say with this is 99% of the time when you first come in, you're going to go to where it says homework. Okay? To see all of your assignments at once, just go here, go from homework to assign all, and you will see how everything just sort of follows in line. Okay? So if you look, one of the things I want you to notice is that, of course, after you start off with your orientation quiz, get familiar with this, you see that you'll have your homework assignments, and of course these media assignments here is just links to the electronic textbook, any videos, or any animations that may be available to you for that particular section that I thought was relevant. Okay. Of course, with your quizzes, again, you can take an infinite number of times, but you need to have done the quiz for the first time by those dates stated in the ICR for attendance purposes. Okay. Only other thing I want to mention here is that once you get to the point where you're ready to take an exam, of course you have a practice exam that is here. The practice exam is not for a grade per se, but it is there to help you. And the version of the exam that I will be working out to help you out, to kind of let you know how I want things written, will be a version of this practice exam. When you take the midterm exam, you will have to take the midterm exam using ProctorU. Okay, and part of the reason why you need ProctorU is because ProctorU will house the password. So the only way to get into that exam is by knowing the password, and the way to get the password is to go to ProctorU. You will not have the password, but the password will be administered. Well, it will be applied as you're going through your testing setup process in ProctorU. Okay, so that's why you need to have ProctorU to be able to get this done. Other than that, the only other thing that I want to say here is that let's say you're working on a homework assignment. I'm just going to pick on a random one here. So I'm going to go here, let's say number 5. Okay. So here, let's say you're working and you're looking at this problem and you don't know how to do it. Well, you have a couple of different options. Of course, first thing that you want to do is make sure that you read your textbook, you look at the videos that I have available for you in myTCC, etc., to kind of get familiar with the topic. But if you're still kind of stuck, of course, you have Help Me Solve This and View an Example here for you. Now, with the Help Me Solve This, it does exactly what it says. It'll kind of interactively take you through this. Okay, so I'm going to purposely get this stuff wrong so that you can kind of see, regardless of whether you get it wrong or right, you're still going to have the answer given to you, so you can kind of move along. Okay, so I'll try to get one right there, and so we'll okay. And so I'll just put anything there. So as you can see, whether you get it right or wrong, you can go through this process. But one of the things I want you to notice is that as soon as we clicked on Help Me Solve This, this red X that you see right here popped up. And you may not have noticed that, but it did. And so what the system is trying to tell you is that, hey, we're going to help you get through this problem, but you need to get through one on your own without our help. Okay. So once you figure that out, then of course you may want to go to view an example, which is like a static version of help me solve this, non-interactive. So of course you can just kind of go through here, read through everything, see how they come up with the answers, and then you're good to go. Okay. With these two, I'll call them cousins of each other, but it's very easy to abuse these rather than use these. Okay. And in my opinion, if I were you and I was really trying to learn this subject, what I would do is I would really forget about help me solve this, and I would go to view an example. When I go to view an example, I'm going there with the intention only on reading the portion that's going to jumpstart me. Okay. So in other words, let's say I don't know how to begin, then I'm just going to read the first few sentences or whatever that kind of lets me know how to get started. After that, I'm going to turn off view an example and try to work the whole entire problem, knowing that I'm going to probably get this problem wrong. Okay. What you're doing when you do this is allowing yourself to fail. And so the thing that you want to do when you're going through the process of trying to learn, do homework and learn concepts, is to fail as often as possible. It may seem frustrating, but what you're actually doing is getting all that stuff out of you, because you can only fail so many times before you start to get things right. And so please budget time to allow yourself to mess up on problems, because it's just part of the process. We all go through it. Okay. So to me, I would use view an example, look at it, and say, okay, I got this right, I got that wrong. Afterwards, go back and try to work another problem similar to that. Okay. And it's going to seem slow at first, but eventually you'll start to see that you're picking up traction. You get less and less wrong because you've built a foundation of getting things right at the beginning. Okay. So the way that I can tell that someone is abusing the help me solve this or view an example is because you score perfect on your homeworks, but you bomb all the tests. Okay. And of course, in this course, with midterm and final exam being worth so much, you really can't afford that. Okay. So looking back at notes and all that stuff, I mean, it's fine, but at some point you have to wean yourself off of it and just know the material. Because for the midterm and final exam, you're not going to have that crutch available to you. So I would just start now by really trying to learn the material and spending the time early so that you end up spending less time later. Okay. Of course, if viewing an example and help me solve this don't work initially, you can also watch an example video like the problem that you're working on, or you can access your textbook and read it. And so with that link that I'm pointing at now with the textbook, the one thing that is different is that, let's say for this one, we're in section 4.2. It is only going to allow you to move back and forth within section 1.2. So if you want to be able to move back and forth more than that, you want to go to the multimedia library here, where all of the information, media, is housed. Okay. And of course, if you want to email me and say, hey, I was working on this problem, I got up to this point, but I can't really figure out how to, get over the hump to get to the finish, or I don't understand why the system keeps on saying that I'm wrong, then that's what my Ask My Instructor is for. And so that sends me a direct link to your problem. And with that, I can kind of see what's going on. It would be very helpful that if you could send me in an extra email an attachment of what you've done. That way I can respond to specifically what you've been doing and not necessarily just in general. Okay. And then, of course, if you're the type that wants to print out their homework first and then work on it and then enter in your answers, then, of course, this option is available here for you as well. Okay. And again, the electronic version of the textbook is here. But really, when you look at it, if you go to the multimedia library, you have access to everything. So let's say if you want to go to chapter 2, section 3, and you want to look at PowerPoints, videos, and the textbook and some animation, then you have all that information available to you here. Okay. And that's sort of the same sort of things I have in the media lessons inside your course layout here. So if you go to homework and then of course come here, go to all assignments, you'll see that I have all that laid out. And whenever you go to, let's say, media, I have all that information there as well. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I know this was a rather lengthy orientation, but I wanted to make sure that I covered bases on most of the things that I get questions on from students. So that way, if you've watched this video, then most of your questions should be answered. Okay. The very last thing that I want to say is that this intermediate algebra review course, it is optional. Okay, that is there strictly for you. I do not count that in your actual homework grade. I do not count the media lessons in your homework grade. They're just there to aid you and help you. Okay, so if you're like, hey, I just want to skip those and just stick with homework, let's say 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and the quizzes and exams, totally fine, totally up to you. Okay. With that being said, thank you so much. I'm glad to have you in our course. Please make sure you reach out to me if you have any questions or any concerns. Okay, we're here to make sure that you're successful. Take care.